Welcome into our Overreaction Monday video here on Bengals Breakdown. Going to take a look at 4 overreactions that are probably going to be circling the media slash internet slash just through the fans' minds over the course of this next week after the Bengals, of course, dropped their home opener to the season as well, 16-10 in an embarrassing fashion against the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about that on today's show. But first, share today's video for us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you got to do. It just really helps us out if you share our videos for us. Bosses say we got to get our shares numbers up here in the month of September, so that's something we're really putting an emphasis on. So help us out, share it for us on social media. And by the way, if you do see me looking down throughout today's show, that's completely fine. Just trying to do multiple things at once as I'm doing a little solo producing action here on today's show. So without further ado, let's hop right into it with our first overreaction. And this one is pretty obvious. It seems to happen every single year, to be completely honest with you. It seems like Zac Taylor is always getting called out, and people are saying, well, he needs to give up play calling. And that's certainly going to pop up this year. Not a single doubt in my mind about it, especially after that performance that the offense had on Sunday. I mean, look, he really had an emphasis on trying to run the ball early. Look, I'm not a coach. I'm not, I don't know. I'm just a talking head right here on the internet. But I thought against a team like New England, you would want out there and be aggressive and kind of set the tone early, especially against a head coach making his debut and a guy and playing quarterback that's kind of been a career backup for the most part. But instead, Taylor kind of had a conservative play calling approach and really tried to run the ball early on, didn't have much success, and that took the ball out of his quarterback's hands later on in the game. So just get ready for it. Zac Taylor is going to get lit up this week, and it makes me sad. I don't like that because I am 100% behind Zac Taylor. Not a single doubt in my mind about that. He's a big reason why the Bengals have been able to have the success that they have over the past few years, but he's certainly going to take it a lot, especially for that call at the end to punt it away on that 4th and 5, knowing that Joe Burrow might not get the ball back in his hands if the defense isn't able to get a stop. Ultimately, that's what happened. So Zac Taylor's certainly going to be taking a lot of heat. People are going to be saying he needs to give up play calling. I'm not going to say that. I would never say that, but be ready because that is certainly an overreaction you are going to hear. That leads us to the pinned comment of today's show. Who do you think deserves the most blame for the Bengals' loss, right? I think the blame is to go around a lot of places. But if you had to single out one person that receives the majority of the blame, who would it be? Sound off for me in the comment section. It is the pinned comment of today's show. So if that ad comes here on YouTube, it's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down there and let us know what you think. Second overreaction. I kind of alluded to this throughout our watch party as well as our instant reaction video. Is Ja'Marr Chase disinterested? Now, again, I do think this is a bit of an overreaction on this one in particular. Look, apparently the guy had some food poisoning on Saturday. Now, I've never had food poisoning, but I can't imagine having it and going out there and trying to play a professional football game. I've alluded to the fact that he didn't look like himself out there. He was kind of out of it. He wasn't fired up. I think some people, might relate that to him potentially pouting, I guess, for lack of a better word, about the contract situation. But if this stuff about his food poisoning is really true, then I think you got to cut him some slack for kind of his how he was carrying himself throughout the game. And that's something I didn't necessarily take into account earlier on, but I definitely think that if he was having issues with food poisoning, I guess that's kind of a legitimate excuse. But if it carries over to next week and we still see the same kind of attitude and actions out there from Ja'Marr Chase, that's going to be an issue, especially against a really good team in the Kansas City Chiefs. So hopefully Ja'Marr Chase can clear the air on that and be back Sunday ready to compete, play hard, and really be a good team player for the Bengals next week because they're certainly going to need it. Another overreaction that might be circling around out there is, Joe Burrow's wrist is still hurt. And look, Burrow, he's not going to come out and say that. He said he felt good after the game, which I think is a good sign. I think the wrist is fine, okay? When you look at some of the play calling, there's certainly, a little bit of a red flag because they were kind of hesitant to push the ball down the field, didn't really try to do that whatsoever in this game. So maybe that's something that, they were kind of taking a precautionary approach because Joe Burrow isn't 100%, but I do think that is an overreaction. I think he's had his time to get ready, to get healthy this offseason. Now, it's not to say that he was going to go out there and play his best football. I think there's still an adjustment period getting used to the wrist, but I think it is just about as good as it is going to get. Taking a look at some of the numbers here from Joe Burrow, I mean, the numbers aren't horrible, right? He completed a lot of passes. That's a good completion percentage there, but he just didn't really do anything special. And when you're getting paid the type of money that he is, and you're supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, you got to put up more than this. Again, he didn't play bad. He didn't miss really. There wasn't really a throw where I was like, oh, that was a bad miss. He said, on that last drive that there were a couple that the one to Jamar wasn't his best throw, and certainly the dump off to Zack Moss wasn't either. Concerning, though, he put the ball on the ground twice. The one, obviously, the second one, it was reviewed and he was down. But that first one on that first possession, that's a fumble, and he can't be doing that. Luckily, he had the wherewithal to pounce back on it, but that's something that you don't want to see continue to happen. So I think Joe Burrow has the ability to play a lot better than what he did, no doubt about that, and the Bengals are going to need him to play a heck of a lot better than he did if they're going to have a successful season. Another opportunity for you guys to get interactive with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Grade Joe Burrow's performance for us in the comments section, A, B, C, D, or F. Personally, I'm going to give him about a C because, we just hold him to such a high standard, as we should, given the kind of quarterback that he is capable of being. And, he's had a history of getting out to slow starts, and this year looked like another one of those slow starts. Again, wasn't bad, but it was very obvious that that offense was not in rhythm whatsoever from start to finish of that game. And the Bengals, if they're going to have success this year, it is going to be because of their offense. No doubt about that. So Joe Burrow certainly has to get better going forward. Give us a grade on his performance in the comments of today's video. Before we continue with our overreactions here, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time because today's show is presented by Game Time. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets that much easier for you guys. I love this new feature that Game Time has, and I think they do a great job of making it easy to buy tickets. And the Game Time Picks is the easiest way to find and buy tickets to live events. You can also get ready for football season, as obviously that is now fully underway, and get you some football tickets, whether you be watching the Cincinnati Bearcats or perhaps going to a Paycor Stadium and watching the Cincinnati Bengals. My two favorite features on Game Time. First up, the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. And I also love the views from your seat. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, our last overreaction that we'll get into here on today's show, there's going to be a lot of noise about, the Bengals need Joe Mixon. Now, look, it does make me a little sad that Joe Mixon is no longer a Cincinnati Bengal, especially after his performance with the Texans over the weekend. But look, all good things must come to an end. They had to mix it up there at the running back position, and those running backs didn't do a heck of a lot. And the biggest issue that I had with that is that Zac Taylor gave them opportunity after opportunity to do a lot. For whatever reason, the Bengals really wanted to be able to run the ball in this game. I understand the importance of running the football. If you're going to win in the postseason, you got to be able to run the football. But if you're going to go out there at home in a 1 o'clock game and beat the New England Patriots, you don't necessarily have to run the football. And for whatever reason, they were really, really trying their best to run the football. Here's Zack Moss's numbers. He was the only Bengal that found his way into the end zone, so that was positive. But just seeing him out there, I don't think he reminded us of Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is certainly a much better running back than Zack Moss, but I think the Bengals can have success with these guys. Would have liked to see Chase Brown get some more carries. Thought he was pretty decent in the screen game. So I think going forward, I think I would like to see more of Chase Brown getting involved in the offense. But we'll see. I do think the running backs certainly going to have to play better. But from a game plan standpoint, I don't understand why that was such an emphasis for this game. This would have been the perfect game to just spread everything out and have Joe Burrow chuck it around. And I think, that's why a lot of people are going to be talking about, oh, is he still hurt? Because the game plan just didn't really make a ton of sense, especially for what the Bengals were going up against in the New England Patriots. So those are some overreactions there for you guys. And let me just set the record straight. I know the Zac Taylor comment was my first one. Look, that is not my belief. I don't think he should give up play calling duties. But I'm telling you, throughout the entirety of the week, you're going to hear that noise. And if they lose to Kansas City, you're going to continue to hear that noise. It just seems like a reoccurring theme every single year with this football team. But Bengals have had a history of getting off to slow starts, and they find a way to turn it around. It is a long season, and we are going to be here with you throughout the entirety of it. Despite the fact the Bengals dropped their opener, we still had a ton of fun here at our watch party. So make sure you hit that sub button so you can stick around for all future watch parties involving the Cincinnati Bengals, whether it be a Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. We will be live right here for you guys. So hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/BengalsTV.